The P47M is one of the oldest and most well-respected premiums available in the American tech tree. With its incredible engine power and climb rate, as well as 8 M2 machine guns, is the P47M still a worthwhile purchase? Or are there better choices available in the American tech tree? And you will have to decide this quickly, as the P47M will be removed from the garage store pretty soon. Alright lads, today I'm going to be talking about the performance, weapons and playstyle of the P47M. Starting as always with the basics, this plane is a rank 4 battle rating 5.7 fighter bomber located in the American tech tree. Being a rank 4 premium, it will be efficient at researching all US aircraft between the ranks of 1 and 5, allowing you to research the early American jet fighters. To get this plane, you will have to buy it on the Guardian store for a price of €30. In the pack, you get the plane and 15 days of premium time. Unlike other packs from the Guardian store, you do not get additional Golden Eagles with this purchase. Going on to the rewards, the P47 has a base RP modifier of 1.78, which is very good for battle rating 5.7. You can expect an RP reward modifier of 356% with a free-to-play account, and 534% with a premium account. The P47's ability to generate silver lines is also very impressive. With a base modifier of 2.5, you'll have one of the highest silver line modifiers in the game. With a free-to-play account, you can expect a silver line modifier of 500%, and with premium, that rises to 750%. Being a premium, this plane only has a crew train cost of 10,000 silver lines, as well as a low repair cost of 4,100 silver lines. For an expert qualification, it will set you back 420,000 silver lines, and for the ace qualification, an additional 1,200 golden eagles. If you'd like to know more about this plane, and whether I think it's worth purchasing before the next update, then stick around for the rest of the video. The P47M is powered by the R2800 double wasp engine, producing a whopping 2,796 horsepower. This engine, combined with the great multiple stage supercharger, gives this engine massive amounts of power at all altitudes. Above 7 kilometers, you can pretty much outrun and outpower everything at battle rating 5.7, including the infamous TA-152. Don't be disheartened by the low climb rate of 15.9 meters per second as shown on the stat card. This climb rate is taken from 100% power. When you use wet, you can easily climb at an 18 to 20 degree angle and maintain an RAS above 270 kilometers per hour. Even with this climb rate, I would still recommend partially side climbing. Your top speed of 760 km per hour is achieved at an altitude of 9.1 km, but this plane is still incredibly fast at lower altitudes. I would however recommend staying high in this plane, as due to your great supercharger, when you're high, you have both a power and speed advantage, whereas at low altitude, you only have a speed advantage. The P47M is quite a chunky boy, which makes it quite sluggish in low speed engagements. This downside can be negated by simply planning your engagements and not getting into stall fights with lighter opponents. Your weight does have a positive however. You are very good at diving, allowing you to run away from enemies if things go south. This is made even better by the fact that the P47M has a pair of dive brakes, which allow you to prevent yourself from overspeeding, and can also be used to reverse an opponent or make them overshoot. Your weight, in combination with your powerful engine, also gives you great horizontal energy retention, meaning your speed will bleed very slowly when you come out of a dive. Now we come to probably the largest downside of the P47M, and that is its below average medium altitude turn rate. With a full turn time of 24 seconds, you're around 4 seconds worse than the average enemy fighter, and several seconds more behind the TA-152 and RE 2005 fighters. While this is a valid criticism, only a few would try to turn fight at low altitudes in this plane. At higher altitudes, above 7 km, you can rely on your engine power to pull you through maneuvers, but you should only do this against opponents who have a significant energy disadvantage. While the P47's turn rate does leave a lot to be desired, the plane does have some very good flaps, which can be used to seriously decrease your turn rate. Overall, the P47M is a strict boom and zoomer. It lacks both the turn rate and low speed acceleration to excel as a turn fighter or energy fighter. Luckily, the P47 has an amazing climb rate, allowing you to get above most of your opponents, putting you in the perfect position to boom and zoom them. The P47M certainly addresses the issues of poor climb rate typically associated with the tech tree P47s, but when it came to the firepower department, there was very little that they could improve. Like the other variants, you get the same 8 Browning M250 cal machine guns with 3,400 rounds in total, for 425 rounds per gun. These guns have a pretty high fire rate of 770 rounds per minute, and have much higher velocity compared to the typical 20 and 30mm cannons. This makes them quite easy to aim, and with your incredibly high ammo count, you can certainly afford to take a few speculative shots. While not outright being as powerful as the German MG151s, when equipped with the APIT belts or the ground target belts, these guns are incredibly powerful and will rip through an opponent in seconds. These 50 cals are located in the middle of the wings, 4 on either wing. This makes gun convergence quite important, and I would recommend setting it to 500 meters. Apart from the 850 cals, the P47 is also able to carry a selection of bombs and rockets, which has claimed the lives of many Axis Ground Forces players over the years. The first weapon available is the AN M64A1 500-pound bomb. This will destroy an armoured target within a 5 meter radius. While usable, you will have to be very precise with your bomb drops. The second bomb is the AN M65A1 1000-pound bomb. The destructive radius increases from 5 meters to 11 meters, giving you much more leeway in terms of bomb dropping accuracy. The last weapon system is the HVAR rockets. You are able to carry 10 of them in total. They have a warhead containing 3.4 kilograms of TNT, which gives them 36mm of armor penetration, more than enough for the top hull and turret armor of most tanks at battle rating 5.7. The P47 can carry these different weapon systems alone or mixed together, and if you are wanting to ground strike, I would recommend the 10 HVAR rockets, 2 1000-pound bombs, and the single 500-pound bomb. Overall, the weapons available to the P47M are more than enough to be competitive in both air RB and ground RB. The fast-firing 50 cals with hard-hitting APIT rounds can devastate even the most heavily armed bombers in second, while your bombs and rockets can cause havoc amongst enemy tank columns. When you load into an RB game, I would take 23 minutes of fuel, set my gun convergence to 500 meters with vertical targeting turned off, and then either choose between the tracer or armored target belts. I typically choose the armor piercing belts, but it's up to you. When taking off, put the plane in around an 18-degree climb, slightly away from the enemy team's spawn. You have a total of 12 minutes of WEP available. You will use around half of that during the climb. Once you reach around 7 kilometers, or see that you are visually above the enemy, level out the plane and put your throttle to around 100% power, and start focusing on getting speed. Against opponents like the BF-109K and RE-2005, your speed is your only real defense. Against Focke-Wulf 190s, especially with the Dorers, you can turn fight with some success if you have an energy advantage. Once you are at altitude, you want to pick off targets of opportunity, preferably targets slower than you and away from the main bulk of opponents. The P47 doesn't do well in 1 versus 2s. Dive down on your opponents and give them some 50 cals. However, if they turn or evade you, don't turn after them. Instead, level out the plane for a few seconds to gain separation, and then put the plane into a shallow 10-degree climb. Reclimb a little bit, turn back into them, and re-engage them with your speed and energy advantage. Never go straight into a steep climb after a pass on an enemy. Not only is it needlessly blowing your energy, but it also allows some opponents to attempt to follow you in a climb. Most guns are effective out to around 1 kilometer, so leveling out the plane on a shallow climb gets you completely out of harm's way. If you get into trouble, simply dive away. You can outrun pretty much every equally tiered plane, and don't forget your air brakes to help control your dive and even reverse enemies. In terms of lineups, the P47M fits well into the American Ground Forces 5.7 lineup, fighting alongside American tanks such as the Sherman HVSS, Hellcat and T-25, while the P47M is a good ground striker. If you already have the AU-1, the reward ground attacker from the last War Thunder event, then the P47M is quite redundant in the ground attack role. However, if you do not have this plane, then the P47 is probably your best choice. To conclude, I believe that the P47M is one of the best premiums that the Americans have to offer. It excels in its role as a boom and zoomer, due to its great climb rate, high speed and deadly firepower. It is also flexible in ground realistic battles due to its high bomb and rocket loads, and is still competitive against tanks even at battle rating 6.7. The great performance in both air RB and ground RB, combined with the great reward modifiers, allow an experienced pilot to make tons of RP and silver lines in this American monster. The problem is that the P47M has a very high skill cap. You need to be experienced in energy management to fly this plane well. This isn't something that can be bought, only learned, and with the fierce opponents at battle rating 5.7, it isn't a particularly safe learning environment for new or inexperienced pilots. This plane also frequently gets put into games with the American ground attackers such as the AD-4. I've had games where I have 3 fighters and the rest of the team being ground attackers. You basically get destroyed. Games like this are pretty frequent and annoying as hell, as you already know you don't stand a chance of winning. But for €30, this plane is an absolute steal if you are interested in the American tech tree. But I wouldn't recommend it to new players. You have to boom and zoom in this plane. You just can't turn fight with people. Newer players or inexperienced players are much better picking up the Spitfire LF Mark P47M-1-RE. It has the same silver line modifier, a slightly lower RP modifier, but is much more of a noob friendly plane. But for players experienced in the boom and zoom playstyle, I would highly recommend purchasing this plane before it's removed from the store. I bought mine years ago and don't regret it whatsoever. As always lads, I hope you found this video useful and thank you very much for watching.